Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. I'm Rick Plasket, a certified business and leadership coach here in wonderful Columbus, Ohio, where we've got at least a foot of snow that dumped on us earlier this week. And today, my guest is Stosh Bykowski. He is the owner and the creator of Bykowski Industrial Consultants. And I'm going to let him give a little more in depth as to what that actually means. But what we're doing today in our interview is helping you, the audience, to see what are some of the business challenges and best practices that he does and share a peek behind the curtain of what it's really like to build and operate a business that is young and absolutely growing. I mean, growing by X factor instead of just 10 or 20%. If this is your first time on the channel, please like and subscribe so you get notifications of future conversations. And Stosh, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Rick. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So give our audience a little brief overview of your background and what makes your business unique.
So a lot of what I do is machine repair and automation conversion, things of that nature. I do a lot with industrial consulting. I help assist companies with increasing production, repairing equipment that they have kind of just put into the back that they never thought might run again, helping them with some of the struggles and efficiencies that they've had with getting machines to run correctly, things of that nature, and just overall, just kind of providing assistance wherever I can for a company, and really kind of finding things that maybe the average person may not be looking for, such as examples of like simple things of people just standing there clearing a box on a conveyor when you have a conveyance system that's already automated, asking the questions of why those kinds of things exist, and then helping them come up with a solution to eliminate those kinds of things.
Super, super. Let's dive into that a little deeper. If you could describe what is your ideal customer?
My ideal customer, I would say, uh, pretty much any kind of small mom and pop shop, ranging all the way to distribution centers. Those are probably my ideal customers, especially somebody who has a lot of manual labor that maybe it's extremely difficult for the ergonomic side of it. So helping kind of eliminate some of those kinds of things, or maybe even plants that are short on labor that are having struggles with getting new additional people in, or even just teams that are struggling keeping their equipment up and running, that maybe they just need some maintenance training, or they just need a maintenance expert to come in and kind of show them a little bit of the odds and ends of how to actually make the repairs and find root cause analysis, and maybe even make their maintenance departments more efficient and more productive.
Let's focus on you a little bit now. What's the ownership structure of your business? Do you have outside investors, or are you I don't want to say solopreneur, but are you self-funded?
So right now I'm self-funded. I do work with several partnerships. So that's one of the great advantages of working with me is I have a robotics company that I work with, for their company is called Bits and Bots. And then I also work with IPS packaging and automation to do some repairs and things of that nature. So some key players there with being able to have some adaptability. I also have a worker that works with me. He's a controls worker, and I have access to a lot of maintenance technicians and a lot of access to controls technicians, engineers, mechanical engineers, and I utilize a lot of that for the advice, or just bring them in to kind of reinforce the issues or problems that we find, and then provide those solutions to kind of really boost the production.
So from what you've said so far, Stosh, it sounds like you are both the operational side and the strategic side. In other words, you're in the business and then you're on the business. How would you break down percentage-wise an average week for you? You know, how much are you working actually in the business and how much are you building the business?
Right now, so it kind of depends on the week because I am still growing. I started really doing this full time in August of last year, and it's hit or miss. All of December, I think I was home for 3 days. So managing while traveling, being in Chicago, South Carolina. I went on a trip to Hawaii just for a vacation. So I kind of wasn't home for that. But while I was in Hawaii, I was doing business development and things of that nature. So I would say probably about 25% of it, my time right now, I'm spending towards trying to gain additional business, do business development, and sort of keep, you know, all of the paperwork and all of that stuff up to par and not falling behind and having to do, 12 months of taxes in one day.
Understand. Super, super. So in that area, you have said you're growing, you're
Mhm.
operating, and you still have time for vacation in Hawaii. I am jealous. I will tell you that right now. What's your secret weapon in the marketing area? In other words, your growth is clearly going to come not only from your current clients, but from brand new clients. What marketing is connecting you with those?
So my biggest thing is word of mouth and just in-person social networking. Sometimes it's going to trade shows. Sometimes it's just meeting somebody while you're out and about, striking up conversation with them. But I think the biggest way that I've been bringing in a lot of repetitive business is just, getting into a building, getting into a company, working with the partnerships. They see the work that's done. Everybody's been happy. They're very, very happy with the significant improvements, and then they say, okay, cool. You know what? Let's bring this guy back in. And some of the partnerships have really helped with building into additional revenue, additional avenues for business
Mhm.
for them. So kind of gives them an extra calling card instead of just saying, hey, I only do this X subject. Oh, hey, I have a partnership that can do this. So that's really been helpful. And as well, when I get my opportunities to throw business their way, we definitely shake each other's hands to kind of help with all of that.
Super, super. Yes. A a statistic that is out there is regardless of the size of a business, about 65% of all business, small to large corporations, is completed through word of mouth. So if that's your number one cylinder in the marketing area, good on you. But now, when you switch back and forth between in the business and doing the work and then going back to growing the business, do you have or do you maintain any type of CRM system so that you can quickly reference what was your last step and what's your next step?
So I do have a little bit that's very basic. I would like to eventually get something a little bit better. Same thing with taxation and maybe getting something along the lines of a QuickBooks or something. But as for right now, I track everything into about 5 different folders. I put my reports in one folder. I put my quotes in another folder, invoices in another folder, and then I have an Excel sheet that literally tracks everything for years 25, 26. So it shows me my misses where I may have missed on potential business from 2025. So, following up on some of that.
Okay.
And same thing for 2026. I've already tracked for, all the quotes that I put out and, trying to do a little bit more due diligence on following up on that stuff.
Okay, super. If we were to look at 2026 now, what is your biggest area of opportunity for growth?
I think my biggest area of opportunity for growth would be getting more into building systems complete. So going from a, I guess you'd say from basically from scratch to a full complete build. I'm looking to do more of the integration side as well. So getting more into a full build and working with the partnerships to do that. So that's a big target for this year. And if that can happen, growth will definitely go in a very quick direction.
So that's a I want to say a new product or a new service line is where your growth is coming from. In other words, that's more than what you're doing right now. Is that correct?
That's correct. I do parts of each of the build right now. So I'll give an example right now. I built a couple of arm tools for robots, designed complete. I've done a couple of conveyor installs, designed complete. Done a couple of revamps on equipment from start to finish for helping out with I'm going to say a poor integration. So just something that needed an improvement. The equipment
Hmm.
is complete, but maybe they their solution maybe wasn't quite exactly what the customer is looking for. So helping them solve problems to make sure that that integration is complete, and then as well, working with the partnerships to have the robots be programmed and improve efficiencies and increase production from
Mhm.
14 pallets a day to 28 pallets stacked a day. So.
Right, right. Okay. For your own business, where do you see yourself, say, 3 to 5 years from now? Let's go really far out there, 3 to 5 years, not 2026.
I think 3 to 5 years. One of my goals is to probably be bringing on a lot of staff, training them to sort of do exactly what I do, measuring their expertise and try to leverage that for them to sort of, in their own way, kind of run their own business. And that was kind of the goal with creating Bykowski's Industrial Consultants, is to be able to have it as a place where it's a one-stop shop to where, hey, I need a controls person. Oh, hey, we have 5 of those, 3 of them have availability. Let me get you in contact with which one you like the most. And it's kind of going to be up to them to kind of grow their own business and things of that nature. And this is just kind of a way to kind of entry level them into it, give them the resources that they need to be a business owner, and then feel like they're not as much of a panic because they have that extra support. They can call on their team members, they can call on whoever they need to say, hey, I'm running into this issue. Is it something that you've dealt with before? How can we make it better? How can we improve it? And things of that nature. So kind of getting more of a one-stop shop, more of a you know a really good connection, if you will, just by anybody that you work with.
So this is probably my own unconscious bias, but what I heard you say, the words translated for me is you're looking to kind of maybe build a franchise model where other business owners can use your model and yet they're responsible for their own piece of the growth.
Correct.
Or did I?
I
Okay.
you're hitting it kind of head on right there.
Okay. Awesome. 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 So as you're looking at that, what's your approach to goal setting? And let me set the stage for you. Okay. If you know how to get there, you know what to do. It's not really a goal. Just put it on your to-do list and get it done. But if your goal, getting to this goal for 3 to 5 years of having other franchisees working for you, if that requires a gap of learning or a gap of something new, then usually that's a good goal.
Hmm.
If that latter part was a 10 and, to-do list is a 1, how would you evaluate your view of a goal?
I think setting the goal is always, it's a really good first step. Recognizing the goal is also that way. I talk a lot about in vision, mission, and strategic goals. I
Mhm.
think that the strategic goals really help to help you, the how to. This is what we're going to do to achieve this mission. This is what we're going to do to achieve our vision. And the strategic goals are placed all along the way to say, hey, you know what, these are my milestones. So like right now, I'm at step 1. My goal in 3 to 5 years is to be a franchisee type thing. I Now that we're talking about it in that manner, I'm thinking about it. Okay, that'd be having a franchisee would be a pretty good opportunity. And just coming up with next steps of, okay, now how do I achieve that goals? I have to come up with the next step. I have to create a pathway there. I have to create a good direction and say, okay, so I guess my next step to creating a franchisee would be to map out the conditions of, all right, if you have a franchise with me, this is what you're going to get. This is your benefit, and then these are my benefits, and this is how we're going to be successful. One of the things would be, for example, having a business coach or something like that, or having just a life coach to kind of help you in that direction, or maybe helping you understand leadership principles a little bit better, or, helping find their goals that they can achieve success in their franchise as well. So, utilizing people such as yourself to kind of help grow them or myself
Mhm.
or whatever the case is, or, utilization of other leadership coaches, which I've done in the past, which I can tell you very, very helpful. So.
Good, good, good. Well, thank you. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. No, That's part of my joy. And you have identified very clear, successful steps of what needs to be done to get there. And that's the to-do list. But then you also hit a couple of things, the word leadership. You can go online and go to Amazon and find pages and pages of people that pontificate on what leadership is. Okay, there's less pages of the difference of leadership and management, and there's even fewer pages that sit there and say, yes, you need a manager and you need a leader. And then the list gets very, very finite when you say, okay, leadership is not something that you learn, it's something that you live. And when you live it, then others can live as well. And leadership is actually an invitation for others to follow you instead of a command for them to follow you. Okay, particularly in today's world, commands don't last very long. They're
Correct.
like New Year's resolutions. They tend to go bad by the 1st of February. But when you entice people to buy into your vision and you live that vision, they can see congruency between actions, results, and your words. They're on the team and they're hooked. That's called loyalty.
And that's one of the things that, and I will give Amazon a little bit of a shout out there. I worked there for quite a bit of time before going into this, and their leadership principles really helped me out. I did a lot of studying for that stuff, and you mentioned them, but there's a lot of things that I think that people don't really realize that, as you said, you if you create something to follow, they will follow, and it helps with the retention and things of that nature. And sometimes it's just as simple as giving people training that makes the difference of whether or not you get to keep that retention. Because if you're continuously learning, there's something that's always changing. And I think that what happens, especially right now, is a lot of people have been getting bored, so they've been kind of doing a lot of job hopping because of it.
So, Stosh, let's take and blend some of those things that you've done. You've just mentioned some of the things that you learned from Amazon. You've also shared your vision and values that clearly are going to transfer into your word of mouth marketing and your customers wanting to trust you and give you even more responsibilities.
Mhm.
When you put all of that together, what's an accomplishment that makes you most proud?
I think one of my accomplishments was when I worked for a company, we were running about 1-to-1 ratio for scrap. And they had finished running the run. They put the machine back into the back area, said, "Hey, if you can you revamp this a little bit for us and go ahead, and it'll probably take a couple of weeks." And I said, "Okay." So I went ahead, I looked over the machine. I probably spent a good 8 hours on it for a thorough check, made every adjustment that I needed to make, and then I noticed that there was an issue on the PLC. Called up one of my friends. I have no idea how to do controls work, so he was step by step. He walked me through here, do this, do that, and I said, "All right, cool." Got done with it, made it a automatic push button to where you set the settings. You want it to be 7 inches wide, 10 inches wide, 14 inches wide. So the next day, come in and they're like, "Hey, when do you think that machine will be ready to run? We've got all this extra material in the back, and we just really didn't hit the mark on the last run." I said, "All right, well, I'll go ahead and set it up, and we'll go ahead and run it." We went from running 1-to-1 scrap to 1% scrap. So significant difference there. The run went from being able to run 25 pallets of material in an 8 hour shift to running 78 pallets of material in a single shift. So 3 times production, less scrap. I had excess of material left over. They didn't need to run that job because they ran 3 times what they normally would within the week. So that was one of my accomplishments. Working with a piece of equipment that was already basically pre-built, was designed by an engineer on site. Engineer had left a long time ago, and to be able to take something like that and be able to find a solution and really kind of adapt it to something new. Those are the kinds of things that I kind of really truly enjoy doing. But just seeing that significant change in production was probably my biggest thing, especially making people
Awesome.
happy.
Help me out. As someone who I'm understanding what you're saying, but I'm trying to come to grips with it. Off the top of your head, Nothing that's going to harm any company or yours, but off the top of your head, put a dollar value on what you just did for that company.
Oh, something like that. I mean, I always say, let's say each pallet's worth about $2,000 a pallet, right? So you just, in your normal shift, you're making $50,000, right? Now you just went from $50,000 to $150,000 in a single shift, right? So now you're making $150,000 a shift, and you're able to make that over the course of a week. That significantly makes obviously a big impact. So you're talking $750,000 plus. Now you don't have to run that product for another 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, whereas before you were trying to run it once, 1 day a week, every single week. And now you've increased your productivity, or you have available productivity by approximately 20% more. So not only is there a dollar value hidden and tied to it, there's also increased production, increased capacity, and you also have happier people, so your retention is better. So when people are not being frustrated with working on equipment that doesn't work, to going to something that's, easy and simple to run, it's amazing the attitude change on almost a daily basis. And when your workers are happy, they're going to try to put out more production. They start to get a little bit more competitive. They start to, go, oh, look at me, I set a record on this. Look at me, I did this, and they have a reason to be proud of themselves. Because before they weren't able to achieve their production goals, they weren't able to get their bonuses. Now you're seeing a team that's excited for the first time ever. They're going to get their bonuses for the first time ever. They're achieving the goals that were unattainable, and at what cost, and the cost was what, $5,000 to have somebody come in and take a look at the machine. Maybe it was $10,000. Your ROI is less than a week. And most companies are happy when your ROI is within 5 years. That's your goal when you produce something big. So like I said, it's monetary value. There's a lot of monetary value, and there's a lot of personnel gain that I think that you unintentionally get from all of that.
So, Stosh, let me ask you this question from you and your business.
Mhm.
Fabulous story, and thank you for sharing that on the air. Did you by any chance capture that story coming from your customer's mouth and onto video?
No, I do not. So that's one of the things that I think that I try to do very, very kindly, is I try not to. Yeah, I'm going to call it shame anybody. I don't like to bring up people's names. I don't like to say any of that stuff. And just for a simple fact is it's kind of tough.
No,
That's my
Josh,
hesitancy with that.
I hear you. Okay. And can I coach you for just a second on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. The biggest change in your business is the 6 inches between your ears and how you view that. You just let an opportunity go for your own business. Okay.
Mhm.
The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The best time to fix that machine was in the past. The
Right.
second best time is right now. Okay. And so you coming in and fixing that machine, you just added all of that money to their bottom line. They should be happy. They should be excited. And happy and excited customers are the ones that are your best marketing agents. Imagine the impact of having one or two people on video saying, look at this, look at what Bykowski just did for me. If you have this problem, you should hire them too.
Yeah.
I'm finished now, okay? I know that
Hey,
hurt.
that's
I
hey, it's
know
great
that hurt.
advice. I guess
Sometimes,
I was just always hesitant, and I wasn't sure how customers would feel about that, because I feel like you need permission to kind of share their, I'm going to say,
so
share their dirty laundry, if you will.
yeah, so you ask it, but you ask it in a way that they're proud of instead of embarrassed, okay?
Right.
I may be proud or I may be embarrassed of the busted old machine, the car that I drive, but you know, when I just take it through the car wash, dang, I'm proud of it now because it's clean and shiny. Okay. It's
Yeah.
the same thing as you have. Okay. And that's all I'm saying. I think that's a golden opportunity to hit your goals and to grow in the future is if you or I tell the world how great we are, we're boasting.
Right.
But if our clients tell the world how great you are, then the rest of the world takes that as fact.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Something to stew on there. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, listen, we have certainly covered a lot of ground here. And for those of you that are watching, I highly encourage you to save this and come back. Stosh has given us a couple of really great nuggets here. I kind of hit him hard with a coaching session there at the end, but I think that there was some huge value there, and I think we've got some huge dollars there of what that could look like in the future. So before we wrap up, what I'd like to do is hit you with a section called rapid fire questions. I'm just looking for the what one or two words top of your mind. You ready for this section?
sure.
Super. So, first question, Stosh, what do you consider your key to success?
Passion and dedication.
Super. What's a piece of advice that you would give to other business owners that may be in the same situation as you?
Take a chance.
Great, thank you. What's a book or a blog or something that you've read most recently?
Uh, I think I have two of them that I really like. How to win friends and influence people, and oh, I forgot what the other one was. That's all right.
I only asked for one. You achieve your mission there. If there was an area of your business that you could wake up tomorrow morning and it would be right where you want it, it would be improved and just running fabulous, what would that one area be?
Oh, probably building equipment, start to finish for people.
Okay,
Yep.
super. Okay, before I get to the last question of the day, if there's somebody in the audience that's watching you that wants to get in touch with you, whether it's to become your next new best customer or because you said something that sparked their curiosity, what's the best way of them getting in touch with you?
One of the easiest ways, probably by phone call, text message. My number is 330-515-6481. And then if they need to look up any information, I have a website, theindustrialconsultants.com. That's another great way to get a hold. There's a way to go ahead and send information through that. So please check it out. Pretty good amount of time spent into that one. So
Super. Stosh, thank you for sharing that. So here's the last question of the day. What do you find most inspiring?
Like I said earlier, I think really seeing the attitude changes of people when you work on their equipment or when you provide solutions for people, that especially seem more desperate than anything, have been frustrated for years, and then suddenly, it's like this weird light bulb that clicks. They're suddenly happy. Want you to come back, and they're happy to do their jobs, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, Stosh, thank you for joining me today and thank you for sharing your journey. And for you, the audience, thank you for watching. Okay, I'm inspired by what Stosh has shared, and I'm looking forward to what 2026 and beyond is going to look like. So, folks, make it a great day. Bye for now.
Thank you. Have a good one.